Thank you for joining us and welcome to the unofficial coronation and celebration show of Mercedes-AMG Formula One and their Constructors' Championship title. We'd like to welcome you to episode... Tyler, are you okay here? What's going on? Are you still watching the race?
I'm still watching the race.
Jesus.
Sorry, jeez.
Was it that bad for you?
Oh, I had the TV on a second ago, I swear.
Man. Was it that bad?
It was... Well, I don't know. Is it just because we had such high expectations for Baku because of the last two seasons? Or is it literally just a bad race? Because I don't know. It feels like it could be the mix between both, but it wasn't that great.
I would say it's definitely a mix between both because there was no real highlight moment of this race except for Kvyat and Daniel Ricciardo. Other than that, maybe the last 5 to 10 laps with Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri. Other than that, there wasn't. But
even then, they still screwed up the ending. Lewis makes a mistake, and the ending's not exciting anymore. Not only did they screw up the whole championship because they've won. Well, they've had 1-2s for 4 straight races.
Yeah.
They screw up the ending of a race, not even make it exciting.
You were expecting some contact, wheel to wheel.
I was expecting Lewis to fly right over him. No, I was expecting Lewis to at least challenge him down the straight at the end, kind of like how Bottas picked Stroll at the end of the 2017 race.
Yeah.
The 2017 race. I thought maybe that could come into a factor, and that's how the race would end for the win, which would have been fantastic. It was kind of leading up toward that. And then he made that mistake coming out just before one of the long straights. I'm not sure if it was the second to last one or the last one, or the front stretch. And basically ended the race. And then he got stuck behind a lap car as well. Forget who the lap car was.
Well, the only reason I was kind of at the edge of my seat for the last 5 to 10 laps is because I was expecting things to go wrong for Valtteri last year. And they didn't, obviously. Yeah, no, I know. I feel bad about it, but I don't know. I just obviously not based on him messing up. I was more expecting just some debris or something from that happened with the safety car beforehand to be kind of come into play like it did last year. But that's the only reason I was at the edge of my seat.
Yeah, we didn't even get a safety car this year.
No.
The only reason
they all is because they ran out of gas after the F2 races.
It was so busy
How
there.
many? There were 6 safety cars in the 2 races.
Yeah, that's right. And
well, there's 3 in the sprint race.
Well, for the first time, actually, on our show, we will be recapping the F2 races near the end. But I know, personally, the only reason I was on the edge of my seat at the end was because I had to go to the washroom. I was like, can we just finish the race here so that I can go? But I think a lot of tire management, that type of stuff happened. And like you said, lap cars. Lewis did make that mistake in turn 16, so it didn't get as spicy between the two Mercs. But, we were talking about after Australia, we're like, let's see the first 4 races, and then we can see the pecking order and all that type of stuff. I don't think that anybody really would have predicted 4 1-2s for Mercedes, even in the domination days of 2014, 15, 16.
Well, they didn't do it.
They didn't do it. This is the greatest start to a Formula One season ever.
Yeah.
They tied, I think, 92 Williams in China with 3 straight. But this is, they own the record now. So, but it does feel a little bit different because it's not as if, I don't really feel like they're dominating in a sense of their cars just absolutely destroying everybody.
No, it's not.
It's more a mix of Ferrari's errors driver-wise and also mechanically in terms of how their car is set up. But still, nonetheless, I'm really shocked that 4 races in a row for Mercedes to get a 1-2, it's ridiculous.
You know what we need in Spain? We need Antonio Giovinazzi just to send a missile, going down the first turn, and take both Mercedes out. Just take one for the team.
Or like in 2016, remember what happened at this Grand Prix?
That's true.
Both Mercedes. That would be my little prediction there for
that would be
Barcelona. And then Leclerc and Vettel just nice and easy coming through 1-2. We're right back in the championship hunt then.
Yeah. Actually, technically, isn't Red Bull ahead of Ferrari in the constructors? Or is that wrong? Oh, no. I guess
No, they're still in third. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because really it's only been Verstappen flying the flag for them. So
I kind of rethought that.
But talking about Ferrari now, when we look at this gap, it's a really big gap. And I'm not saying that it's over. I almost think the Constructors' Championship at this point is kind of a wrap because Mercedes isn't a team known to have a bunch of DNFs. And the thing about it is that for Ferrari to come back in the championship, you got to have both Mercedes not score any points.
Yeah.
It's not like
never going to happen.
Exactly.
It did happen.
In 2016, right.
In Spain.
This is why Valtteri 2.0 will probably come into play. But last season, it was only Vettel versus Hamilton. So one Hamilton DNF, Vettel's right back in it if he wins the race.
Right.
One, let's say, Bottas DNF, even if Vettel wins the race, you could have Hamilton still finish on the podium, and the gap is only trimmed by a couple of points here or there. So Ferrari have a lot of ground to cover if they want to get back in the championship. I mean, Baku was already a must-win race.
Yeah.
And they didn't win.
Well, they won. Well, they did win fastest lap. I mean,
right, because he pitted fresh tires at the end, right? I mean,
that was the only reason, yeah.
And Valtteri had it up until that point on a used set of mediums, which was pretty impressive. So, but when I look at Ferrari, I think the number one issue here is that forget straight line speed. What kind of annoyed me was like everybody was like, well, I didn't expect this 1-2 at all. I'm like, I kind of did, and I wasn't really surprised that there was another 1-2 because Mercedes always throws this bluff. Even Toto Wolff said before qualifying, he's like, well, we're not going to find the silver bullet here for qualifying, and then they get 1-2.
Yeah, I know.
Race pace for Mercedes all weekend was much better. Ferrari runs their car more aggressively in the practices. The practices don't mean anything. It's in qualifying and especially in the race where the points really count.
Yeah.
So Ferrari they don't have a good race car.
Well, I don't understand. It's the same thing every week. It's Mercedes being like, oh, no, the car's not just suited for this track. Every week at the start of the race, Lewis is complaining and being like, I just can't. We can't figure out the setup. Hopefully we can before qualifying. And then qualifying comes and it's just like, whoo, see you later.
Yeah, everything's good.
Oh, how did that work?
Yeah. And they threw the dummy in qualifying too for people that sort of didn't understand that. They weren't doing practice starts. They just wanted to let Vettel and the rest of the pack get behind them.
Yeah.
And then they could use the toe off of the cars that got in front of them. So what Mercedes noticed in the last few races is that Ferrari were waiting for them to come out, and then they would get up behind them to have, the best track because the track would rubber in a little bit more. And then Mercedes pulls the dummy and does 2 practice starts, or as Hamilton called it, clutch calibration.
Yeah, clutch calibration.
in Q3. Sure, I'm sure that's what it was. And they ended up getting a toe off of, I think, Norris, who was ahead of them. And Vettel didn't get any toe, and it was almost like 4/10 lost. That's how powerful it is.
Yeah. No, it is very powerful down that crazy long straight.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get overtaken and then re-overtake into the first corner if you really wanted to. I don't know what's going on. Like, it's just frustrating because you want to see, this is going to be the closest season yet, and it's not.
No, and you probably heard it from here, too. We all predicted it. I think we all expected it, and it hasn't happened yet. And that's what's really disappointing. It's not a full hate on Mercedes. I mean, you can't blame them. They're very, very good.
They're very good at the moment.
I think this is a huge praise for them. It's
yeah,
right.
We don't want to see it.
I mean, they're so good that we hate to see them win.
Yeah.
Right? But it's just that we were talking just now about the qualifying strategy. All of that they've gotten right this season. They do have the better car, but they probably wouldn't be in the same position if it wasn't for a team execution all across the board.
Absolutely. Where like Ferrari, I find is just on the complete opposite end in terms of team execution. It's not there. Like
No,
I don't know.
it's
It's so disappointing. Like I understand why they kept Charles like in the race for so long because of tire issues. They didn't think it was going to last to the 35th, 36th lap. But man,
Martin Brundle made a good point during the broadcast. He said like what? Or no, sorry,
DiResta?
It was DiResta.
Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot. DiResta was on the. And he goes, I mean, why not just go for it? Like you're not gonna finish well if you don't.
that's just it.
Go for it. I mean, just go for it. Why not?
Yeah.
Nothing to lose.
I mean, and then they end up changing his tires out twice just to get like the fastest lap.
Yeah, at that point
Right.
you may as well try and get.
Yeah, like what?
They screwed up so bad.
Yeah, I know that they should have. I understand. You're waiting. You're not going to think the tire's going to last. But
Well,
man,
just go for it.
try it. Like you've left him out there for 36, 37 laps at that point. Like this, he's gonna be struggling. Like he was losing like a second every lap. I'm pretty sure.
Much.
Like it was just very disappointing to see, especially because he was doing so well.
I think what people need to understand, though, also is that I do think they left him out probably about 5 or 6 laps, a little bit too much.
I would say about the same.
I'd say 3 laps, 4 laps.
Yeah, I mean, they should have brought him in before everybody overtook him.
Yeah.
I think he would have had a better
Oh,
shot.
absolutely.
Well, I
Yeah.
think that the one, like going right down the stretch when Valtteri was going to pass him is when they should have brought him in.
Right. Yeah, and they kept him out, I think, an extra 2 laps after that, which
yeah.
was a bit surprising to me. But I understand what Shaker was saying, that the soft tire most likely wasn't going to last, because he would have to made, what was that, 16 or so odd laps. He would have had to made it last, which maybe he could have done it. But really, in this race, Ferrari was banking on two things. One was the safety car for Charles, and the same thing as it happened last year. You're on the right tire at the right time, and you can capitalize.
Yeah, absolutely.
The second thing was also for Vettel to put pressure on the Mercedes, potentially split them at the start, and none of that happened. So it wasn't really much that the Ferrari strategist, I think, could have done to win the race.
This all comes down, though, to Charles crashing in qualifying.
Correct.
If he doesn't crash in Q2, I mean, he could have split the Mercedes. He could have got pole. Like, who knows what he could have got at that point. And I think that's really where the whole weekend kind of fell apart.
Yeah.
For Ferrari.
Well, I know Pierre Gasly didn't have the greatest race in the end, but he started it from the grid and he made top 10. Compared to that, I think they could have done a little bit more for Charles. But
I think it gets back again to the Ferrari car. And it would be interesting if you got to Q3. I think Leclerc was much faster than Vettel.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if he would have been able to split the Mercedes, because I'm not sure about the Ferrari just yet. And the overwhelming issue I think that I've found with the Ferrari is the tires. And It's not just with Ferrari, but it's a lot of other teams. And so we talked a lot about the aerodynamic changes heading into 2019 and the big questions. How is that going to affect racing, et cetera, et cetera? But to me, the big changes I think that we underestimated was the tire changes. And I didn't really know about what exactly the tire regulations were in 2019, so I did look them up before coming on air. And the rear tire blankets dropped by 20 degrees, so they went from 100 degrees to 80 degrees.
Right.
The front tires are still at 100 degrees, so that affects tire warm-up, obviously, for qualifying for the races as well. The other thing is that the rear tire pressures have dropped as well, so overall, and I think they've significantly dropped by quite a few PSI. And also, Pirelli have gone with thinner tire treads for this season.
Oh, have they?
They brought this in last season at a couple of races that had smoother track surfaces, and they did this to minimize graining and overheating. Right. I don't know if you guys remember how much, but there were a couple races where overheating was an issue of the tires.
Yeah, it was, especially with the Mercedes.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, and
that's exactly what happened.
And that's where the advantage
wants Mercedes to win. Conspiracy.
There you go. That's not exactly where I was going with this, but yeah. But thanks for seeing the other side of it.
Yeah, no worries.
But it's kind of a reverse, right? Like Ferrari was one of the areas they excelled last season. In Baku, if you remember, Hamilton struggled a lot in his first stint in 2018. So I think tires are the overwhelming topic here, that Mercedes have found the sweet spot of how to operate the tires in the lower temperatures and the higher temperatures, and they're just able to pull a lot more out of it, not just in the race, but in qualifying as well. And Vettel's just not comfortable with his car. He said it. He was complaining about the tires. He said it, even after the radio, he said he was shitting himself in the first stint because of just how low grip he had. And we've seen it with Gasly, with the Red Bull, how much he's struggling. Renault with Daniel Ricciardo, the Haas's who are really struggling.
I don't think that's tire struggle for Renault.
I think Renault has a lot of issues.
It's a lot of
Renault
issues.
Has a lot more issues.
It's more of a refigure out their car.
Yeah. So there's all this talk of straight line speed and Baku's got the long straights and stuff like that. That's irrelevant if everywhere else your car is struggling.
Yeah.
And we know for Formula One drivers, in order to be able to push that car to the limit, you have to be 110% comfortable with that car, and that's just where Mercedes is at right now.
Yeah, no, they are 100%.
I don't know if they can fix that though.
I don't know if they can. I mean, that has to do with the research and development, right? Like, you have to kind of figure this out, and who knows, maybe they change it after the summer break or whatever. If they're having trouble overheating right now, we're not really in the spots with the high temperatures just yet. We're only mid-April. Well, once you start getting to the European season and it's 40 degrees outside, and it's going to start getting hot, the tires just get hotter because the track temperatures are hotter.
Yeah.
It's just going to be even worse, is it not?
Yeah, I think it's both, too. I think it's underheating as well, just lack of temperature we saw in Q3. But Ferrari in Barcelona, for example, in testing, they were cooler conditions, and they seem to obviously do really well there. It will be interesting what happens in the next race in Barcelona.
Oh, they're so good in Barcelona. I wonder what they'll do now.
But it's a Mercedes track, too.
Even in China, Charles Leclerc struggled to get his tires up to temperature, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
And
that's a very good point, Chris. Yeah,
qualifying as well. So because we're trying to figure out like, well, what's going on with them, and they've had the weird thing in Australia with, we thought it was an engine problem, but maybe this is it, that it's just they focused a lot on straight line speed, so maybe they're not getting as much downforce from the car, and when they're not getting that grip from the tires as well, it just all compounds into this really unstable car, and drivers not confident in it. We are seeing Leclerc being able to kind of eke out a little bit more from the car than Vettel, but to me, this isn't Sebastian Vettel's potential in a Ferrari. He can do way better than this, but he just needs a more comfortable car, in my opinion.
Or just needs to get more comfortable with it and learn how to drive it. I mean, you have to adapt to the car you're given as well. So there has to be a lot of communication between the driver and the team, and kind of a lot of R&D work at the factory to try and figure this thing out if you're Ferrari. I don't know how you... I don't know engineering, so I don't know how you manage to get the airflow and get those tires cooler, or if you have to adjust the chassis, or what you have to do. But you have to figure it out. And
like you said, when maybe it's a change that they make from Barcelona onwards or summer break, we saw Mercedes in the latter stages of 2018 come with that wheelbase rim with the holes in the wheel that helped a lot in the last couple of races with their overheating issues. So, but can Ferrari make a change that quickly? I mean, Barcelona usually is
they focus everything on it. I don't see why not.
Yeah, I mean, like their CEO was at the race, and they were repeatedly mentioning this on the broadcast. CEOs of these teams don't necessarily come to every race.
No.
So
they come when it's an issue.
Exactly. So there's two cities, in Maranello on Monday and in Paris for Renault and for Ferrari. There's some huge CEO meetings going on right now. And they're looking at their team going, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, pretty much.
Especially, I think at both teams. I don't know which meeting would be worse, but
I think Renault would be worse.
I think Renault would be. Well, because with Ferrari, it's kind of more Vettel struggling with his car, whereas Charles kind of like settled into it. Renault is struggling with both their drivers. And Ricciardo hasn't had a finish yet. He's had one. He's had one. China, right?
I don't remember.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Yeah, because he had the special helmet.
Yeah,
that's right.
So he's just finished China so far. So I think it's going to be a bigger meeting at Renault for sure.
Well, because isn't he with the helmet on your car? He's 0-3.
Yes, yeah.
On finishes,
the stop being them helmet.
Yeah,
the little quirky.
I mean, clearly stop being them.
Yeah,
stop the car.
Stop being Renault. Well, and you saw in this race too. Uncharacteristic Daniel Ricciardo making mistakes under braking, just so not comfortable with the car. Bumped into Nico Hülkenberg in Bahrain, under braking again.
By accident, of course.
Right, but I think that has to do with just how uncomfortable he is with the car.
Yeah.
And then, of course, in this race, he blows the overtake on Danica Kvyat and then just completely forgets he's got mirrors and does a lot of damage. He took himself and him out of the
he took two. He took him. Yeah, like you said, him and Kvyat both out at that exact same point.
What was Ricciardo's problem and why he couldn't continue? Because I don't know. Is it something to do with the back?
I think it was the floor or the wing. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, he had parts hanging off from the back when I saw the replay.
Yeah.
But did you guys see the updates that Renault is bringing to Barcelona?
I did. As you showed us
the big mirrors and. I think the dashboard one, to me,
the dashboard one's actually pretty smart.
They could probably do that.
If they put it on, like, maybe even, like, the back ends just on the sides, it would be pretty good.
They have that kind of virtual mirror in the IMSA or whatever, like the endurance racing.
You're right, yeah.
Usually you can see it in the Corvettes, but they have it in every car. Where the rear view mirror is legit, just a screen down below.
Yeah.
And you have a mirror too, but there's a screen there, so it's very cool. It kind of points out where the cars are, and I just don't know where you put that on an F1 steering wheel. Oh, you can't put it on a steering wheel.
I think it would make it a little bit too big. Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
And weight issues, right?
Oh so, yeah,
good point.
Yeah.
My favorite was Danica Kvyat though. After the race, he's like, "Yeah, I got no problem with Daniel Ricciardo, but I'm gonna go buy him some rear view mirrors for Barcelona." So they. Respect to Danica Kvyat.
You should buy him a lot more than rear view mirrors if he wants to win a race. Yeah.
Or Ricciardo could buy him some himself with that reported Renault contract that they gave him. It's like 30 some odd million a year, reportedly. Obviously, can't confirm, but Yeah, it's just really disappointing. Everybody's asking, is he regretting his decision? I mean, sure, at the moment, we can't tell what's going to happen the rest of the season and the years to come, but, I mean, it's not like Red Bull is necessarily winning races at the moment either, but...
I mean, they could be, though.
True.
They could be.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe if he was still on the team.
Well, Red Bull believe that their race pace is where Ferrari's is right now, and I do believe
well,
I think it's almost better.
Yeah.
I mean, if you, I think it was Pierre Gasly and Charles Leclerc, they had to come back from the end there. You could see I think there's still a big difference between Red Bull and Ferrari, because there were some points where Charles was just basically cruising right through all the cars, where I find Pierre Gasly was struggling a little bit to overtake some cars.
Right, but I mean, Azerbaijan's such a power circuit.
Yeah.
And I mean, Red Bull doesn't have any
No,
power.
that's true.
Although they were pretty impressive in the speed traps and qualifying. So the improvement from last season is definitely there. But yeah, I would agree. I don't think that they're necessarily, in terms of, Pierre Gasly isn't necessarily there.
No, he's not.
But I think Verstappen, even they struggled after the virtual safety car to get tire temps up.
Everyone did.
Yeah,
well,
which is why.
he was consecutively setting fastest lap, I think 5 or 6 laps in a row.
Yeah, he had the car tuned in.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Without that safety car or the virtual safety car, he probably would have passed Vettel.
Yeah, I think so.
But which was weird again for Ferrari because he was managed to turn on the tires really well after the virtual safety car.
Well, I think it's also because
cooled it down.
Verstappen fucked it up real bad.
Could be that too.
It did cool the tires down. Maybe it just put it, like, all of a sudden it was
Maybe
in the
that-
right temperature for Ferrari.
Strange. I don't know. We'll see what they do, but to say that Barcelona's a must-win is kind of an understatement.
Yeah.
It's
It's a must one too.
yeah, that's a good point. I think it really is a must-win too.
Yeah.
And then have Red Bull take third.
yeah, yeah. Minimize the points for.
They should bring the old Max back for this race.
Well, I think Red Bull. We'll get into our Spanish preview, but they might have a good chance in Spain.
Yeah, they could. I mean, it's where Max took his first win, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it should be interesting.
And I mean, just finishing on the top two, what I found really interesting was a comment from Lewis Hamilton post race.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I saw some of these comments from fans, and I really don't understand it. But then I saw it from Hamilton, and I was like, interesting. He said that he doesn't think that Valtteri Bottas is his title rival yet.
I don't understand.
And people online are like, "Oh, do you think Valtteri's a title contender?" I'm like, he's leading the championship.
Leading the championship.
Yes.
He's won half the races and set poles in half the races.
He hasn't had a bad race yet.
I mean,
like, this would probably be Lewis Hamilton's worst race so far this season, and he didn't even do that bad. Where I don't think Valtteri's made it. Like, I don't think he's made a wrong move so far.
So Michael Schumacher is the only F1 driver to have the immaculate season, and that's, well, I guess that's not the full immaculate, but a podium in every single race. Yeah, I'm not sure what year it was. Maybe 02.
02, yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that Lewis or Valtteri could get a podium in every single race this season?
Ooh,
100% streak.
that's a tough question.
It is a very tough question. Like, I don't know, man. It's interesting because, like, I feel like one Mercedes is consecutively going to get podiums all season, but I don't think both of them can.
I don't think both of them can either.
No.
But I think, do you see one driver, like either Hamilton or Bottas, getting a podium every single race this season, and obviously winning the championship?
If Valtteri maybe keeps a beard all season,
Yes, I would agree with that. I would say no, just because I still think Red Bull and Ferrari are capable of winning races, and I do think that eventually it will get closer. I mean, I have to believe that.
Yeah.
Right? But it's just really tough because I think when we look at 2002, for example, or when Ferrari was dominating, I mean, with the exception of McLaren, there weren't really that many cars and teams that were at that level.
Right.
I mean, it's certainly possible, as good as a team as Mercedes is, and they've shown to be really reliable. So, yeah, that's a really interesting question. I think that's something that maybe the fans out there will have to answer for you.
Let us know in the comments below.
Yeah. I still don't know. I would probably go with no because it's kind of hard to keep up that pace all year. But sorry, I got distracted. But yeah, no, I would say no, but it's a possibility. Like, I'm not saying like absolutely.
They're on the pace for it. Well, both of them are on pace for it.
Yeah. And sorry, to get back to your point, I can't believe he would fucking say that.
Well, I don't know why.
And you know what, though? I think that he really believes that because he even said he was too nice in turn 1 on lap 1. I don't think that he really believes that Valtteri's the same. Like, Valtteri's a different driver than he was for the last 2 years. I don't think Hamilton realizes that yet. And to be honest with you, I think that, if Valtteri keeps this form up, Lewis is going to realize, like, oh, shit, this guy's really a contender.
And then he's going to start crashing him.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to have a Rosberg-Hamilton all over again. Because I think that it happened like that in 2016 where Lewis was sort of expecting a, reserve Nico Rosberg and to be on top, and it didn't happen that way. So, but I just looked at that comment and I was like, well, what are you talking about?
Who does he think his main rival is?
Ooh, like Vettel?
Like himself?
Is Max on third?
Knowing Lewis, it's probably himself.
Not anymore, I don't think.
No?
I think it's Sebastian now.
Is it?
But, I mean, even so, he's won half the races. Who else would it be?
I know.
So, I mean, Lewis, you better look in the rearview mirror, bud, because...
maybe Danny Kvyat can give him one.
Oh, maybe that's true. But
You'll have
Valtteri's
to bring
coming.
2, yeah.
Yeah. So, but a lot of fans, I think they asked, like, when Sky Sports does that, ask Crofty or whatever.
Crofty, yeah.
Like, do you think Valtteri's a title contender? It's like, no, I don't think so at all. Like,
Crofty said the same
no,
thing.
no, I was just joking.
Okay.
I'm being sarcastic, but I don't get how you ask that question. It's like, he's leading the championship, so of course he is.
Shall we move on to some of the best of the rest, like honorable mentions of
Sergio Perez, yeah.
Yeah, go
on.
on.
I was going to say Racing Point in general.
Yeah.
Double points
and
finish.
McLaren, too, actually.
And McLaren, exactly. Double points finish for both of them.
Yeah, man, that was great.
Stroll fought through the grid and managed to get 9th place. So 2 points for him, and I'm sure he's very happy to get that. And Sergio Perez had a hell of a race.
Yeah. And had a hell of a qualifying, too.
He loves that track.
How about the battles with Verstappen?
Yeah.
Great overtake.
Yeah.
Fantastic stuff.
Yeah, there were some moments that it was quite unbelievable that he was keeping up with him most of the race. Probably 20 laps?
Yeah,
20 laps or so. Yeah.
And then Lando Norris and Carlos Sainz had a little cheeky battle themselves, but entertaining for them and great result for McLaren. I'm sure they're going to be very happy because they're up there. They're doing well, McLaren. It's
so far so good.
Yeah, I think Lando so far is my driver of the 4 races so far, like overall.
Really? Where's F1 power rankings again?
I haven't heard much about that.
Oh, probably because they were so bad last year.
They were ridiculous. Kevin Magnussen, number 1. What's going on?
No, it's one of those, after what McLaren had last year, every week I see Lando Norris up there in the top 10 or very close, and that's the only reason. He's impressed me every single race so far. Yeah. There hasn't been a race where I've been like, oh shit, like he did pretty shitty. No, he's been consistent.
He just believes he's the best in the world.
Yeah.
Which, I don't blame him.
I mean, you have to be
an F1 driver. You think that.
You got to be confident.
Yeah, you're the 20 best drivers in the world.
Yeah. Like, I'm maybe 16th. I'm not ready, but.
I'm not there up in the top 6 yet.
No, it's good for McLaren too. I mean, and Carlos Sainz got his season off to a start. He's had a rough couple, not to his fault, but
no, but he has had a rough few seasons, and I'm sure all the McLaren fans who have been kind of going through this tough spell, this very tough spell, including owners and shareholders and VIPs, execs, they're gotta be very happy with the progress they've seen. If they keep this up and research and get ready for 2021.
Uh-oh.
Oh, hello. Could we see a McLaren up there as well? I can't wait for 2021. I hope it gets so much closer for every team.
I do too.
Yeah,
definitely more of a competition for everybody. Yeah.
I hope we see like 5 different teams, 6 different teams win a race in a season.
Yeah,
that'd be something.
That would be. I think every fan would sign up for that.
Yeah.
We'll see how 2019 pans out, but
right now it's 1.
Yeah. And with McLaren too, I was reading that McLaren Racing took like a $96 million loss in 2018.
Oh my God!
It'd be nice to get a couple of more double points finishes for
Norris
and Sainz. But and Racing Point too. Really good weekend. Stroll obviously struggled in qualifying again. Had a crash in practice.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is going on. I don't know why his qualifying so bad in his race. Like his race paces are usually very good.
Yeah.
He just can't qualify.
Yeah, it might just be the same thing as maybe like a Vettel, not just completely comfortable with the car yet. But it's again an area he will need to improve. major upgrades coming in Barcelona, so it's looking good. I think they moved into 5th in the constructors now.
I think you're right, and I think 4th is McLaren, if I believe not.
Is it, or maybe it's still Alpha?
I should look it up.
Yeah, I think you got the standings.
Do you have it up?
Yeah, I can pull it up. The other shout out I want to give to is Kimi.
Yeah, from the pit lane.
From the pit lane to what?
So did you guys hear why he got
something about the front wing, right?
So his front
irregularities.
Wing, it failed regulations, a flex test, and I think it barely passed it in China, and then or something broke on it in China, and then they just didn't fix it.
Well, I was confused because how did Giovinazzi pass it, but he didn't? Do they not run the same front wings?
Maybe a different front wing. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
Kimi likes this one.
Yeah, Kimi does what he wants.
So sorry. McLaren has 18 and they're in 4th, and then Racing Point is 1 point behind in 5th.
McLaren best of the race. Holy shit!
I thought they were up there.
That's crazy.
And then
Alpha's
6 at 13, and then Renault right after with 12.
What the hell's going on with this season?
I know.
I don't know, man.
Random season. Well,
and then
Williams. A random season other than Mercedes.
Yeah,
and Williams with 0.
Right.
Yeah.
How many does Haas have? They're at
8.
8, and
then Toro Rosso with 4 and 9th.
I get Williams' financial department was probably sweating bullets in Baku.
Oh my god!
the drain cover first, and then Kubica. They're like, no.
I hope. So I was thinking is when I saw Russell go with that. If I'm Williams, I'm telling the circuit to pay for that.
They've got to.
The Azerbaijan government. I'm saying you're paying for these damages because that should not be.
Yeah.
They could sue them for that. It could have been a serious injury.
Right.
So if I was Williams, I'm surprised no one made more of a deal about it.
Oh, I'm sure they did to the FIA.
They got to. They got to have the circuit pay for that.
Yeah.
Because obviously the circuit has insurance and stuff like that.
Yep.
They have to get money for that. If you're Williams, you got to at least try.
Because it's no fault of their own. It's the responsibility of the FIA and, like you said, the track. So
especially the track.
Yeah.
They got to be all welded down. And
yep.
We saw it came loose from the Ferrari from Leclerc just before, and just unlucky Russell was the one that ran over it.
And then the flatbed carrying his car ran into the bridge. It was a disastrous
There was
Friday.
oil leaking all over his car, which isn't the worst thing. It's just a dirty cleanup.
Yeah.
But when I looked at that on free practice,
more of a fire hazard.
That too, yeah. True. But you looked at the crashes and in qualifying, the red flags. You're like, oh, this is going to be a crazy race, and then none of that happened.
No.
But I think that was pretty much about it, right?
Yeah, that was about it for the race.
I mean, Haas was again disappointing.
Yeah.
The Toro Rossos.
Congratulations to Grosjean for not running into the wall on his own.
That's because Ericsson was like
100,000
miles away
in the U.S.
Did you see the fans? They had a couple of hats that said Ericsson hit us or something.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Nice.
Very, very original. So well done to them. But I think from the F1 side, is that pretty much it?
So now for the first time.
New segment.
In Backmarker's F2
Sorry,
history.
there's one more thing in your notes at the bottom here, but we can do that at the very end.
What did we forget?
Oh, yeah, we can do that at the end.
Yeah, we'll do that
sure.
at the end. Okay.
So yes, as a great idea from Tyler McDonald, we are going to start recapping the F2 races.
Just a quick little, especially this week.
Of course.
A quick recap, but they were more exciting than the F1 races, both of them.
Yeah.
So obviously, there's a featured race and a sprint race. If you don't really know how F2 works, they have a featured race. Obviously, I think you qualify for that, which makes sense, right?
Yeah, I think it's Friday they qualify. Yeah.
And then the sprint race, the top 8 finishers in the featured race are reverse gridded. So if you're 8th, you start on pole for the sprint race, and then they race again. It's just a shorter race.
I gotta start watching that. That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's a lot of fun. And there are some great races. The only thing, this is the thing. There's too many safety cars for my liking because it's starting to get boring. Not like boring that.
Yes.
It was still lots of excitement, but there just wasn't a lot of racing.
Well, I think one of you guys said before we went on that they were still refueling. That's why the safety car didn't come into the actual race because they were still refueling.
They're still refueling.
Had to change the tires.
Safety car.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too was especially in the first 2 races, the drivers Latifi and then Jack Aitken, they figured out how to restart really well. So they just waited until the start-finish line, and they minimized obviously the slipstream effect. Because because it's only about 200 meters down to turn 1.
If F1 fans have not kind of known or know who Jack Aikens?
Aitken?
Yeah,
I think it's...
Holy...
Aiken.
Yeah.
It's not Aiken.
Holy hell, what a driver that kid's going to be.
Yeah,
you can tell
already
he's going to be stupid good. The moves and confidence he was doing with that car, and oh my god, I fell in love with him.
In the feature race too, that's where
Yeah.
he was most impressive. I think I wrote down, I don't know where he started.
No.
I think he was like P8 or something like that, but it's his first F2 win.
Yeah, it was his first F2 win.
And I think first win for the team as well. But yeah, I mean, he's got a good foot under him with the braking.
He's a Renault junior driver, which kind of gives me an interesting point because I think he could fight for being in an F1 seat next year. But you're not going to get rid of Hulkenberg. You're not going to get rid of Ricardo, obviously. So I wonder if he asked for...
They still got to recover Ricardo's money.
Yeah. So I wonder if he gets shipped out to a different team or something like that. See how that works. I'm not sure if Nicholas Latifi, the Canadian, I don't know if he's signed under any F1 contracts.
Well, he's with the Williams reserve driver, so
not going anywhere in
not
his career.
come on, guys.
But
At least he's in F1 if he does.
I'm sure if he leaves Williams, he'll be doing something with his career, but not if he stays there.
But
which
he
is
was
unfortunate.
he was very, very impressive as well. Same with De Vries, and is that how you pronounce his name? De
Yep.
Vries. De Vries.
the Dutchman.
Yeah. He was very.
How
good
does it spelled?
De Vries.
Is it J at the end? I'm pretty sure it
How's it spelled?
might be De Vries though.
I don't think so.
No, it's De
No?
Vries
I
because
think
that's
it's
how
De
the
Vries.
commentator was
Okay.
saying it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, just 'cause-
But in that first race, a lot of action, a lot of excitement.
Yeah,
a
it
lot
was-
of overtakes.
Mick Schumacher just sent
know.
it in the first lap. I mean, he almost made it work, but it was just a little bit too ambitious from young Mick. And then it kind of messed up his race, and obviously he had the spin at turn 16.
And there's no anti-stall on these cars too, so once you stall, you can't restart your car, so you're out of the race.
Yeah, exactly. So we saw, Tatiana Calderon also stopped in both races, actually.
Yeah. Tough weekend for her.
Very tough. But Schumacher in the second race started P19, finished P5.
Finished
A much
P5.
better
Wow,
race.
that's really good from him.
So, yeah, and we saw the battle with him and his teammate. He kind of squeezed out Galail in the end there. Galail, who in the sprint race had a really good start and got into the lead, but then after...
Over his tires.
Yeah, fell apart because Latifi got by, and I think
Vries
Aitken.
got by,
Yeah.
Aitken got by.
But I got to say, I was really impressed with Nicholas Latifi.
Mm-hmm.
Now the championship leader by 19 points. The Dams team has a big constructor's advantage now as well. He's really calm and composed, and he knows how to manage his race very well.
He knows how to manage his tires, and I think that's the most important thing out of that is that he managed his tires so well in both races. In the first race, he got overtaken by a brilliant overtake by Jack King, I think his name was.
Jordan King?
The King.
Was it the guy that raced in IndyCar?
I'm not sure.
Because I think there was a Jordan King also in IndyCar, if I'm not mistaken, a couple years ago.
But what an overtake by him to get the last podium spot in the first race. And in the second race, Latifi dominated that sprint race.
Oh, yeah.
Just in complete control from start to finish. And it was a short race. There was 3 safety cars in what ended up being like a 14-lap race.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, which was a little ridiculous. And so 7 of those laps were 8 of those laps were under safety cars. Only really 8 laps of racing. Because there is a time limit on these races.
I think it was in the second race, the sprint race, where I can't remember exactly which driver it was, but they sent it into turn 1, and they almost clipped Latifi on the outside, and there was, I think, Aitken was on the inside.
Yeah, it was the second restart in the sprint race.
Yeah.
That happened, and it was kind of just a crazy scenario.
Very close.
Everyone was going everywhere. It was very exciting.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
And in the sprint race, Juan Manuel Correa, the American, got his first podium as well.
The Sauber junior driver.
Yeah, which I guess Sauber still has a junior team.
Well, it's owned by Czech Republic owners.
Yeah.
But I guess you can almost call it an Alpha junior team. I don't know.
I think Sauber's still
Sauber
operating
is
them or
still a
something.
thing.
Right. It's going to take, I think, a little bit of time to sort of figure out the teams and the history.
Yeah.
of all the teams. It was the 50th F2 race, though, I guess, since they've merged into this whole F2 sort of landscape. But, yeah, I mean, first time watching it because I didn't get to watch the Bahrain one. The racing is really great. These drivers, they're super aggressive, and they get after it.
And they're talented, too.
Mm-hmm.
Very talented.
And some of them aren't young. They're 24, 25 years old, so they got good head on their shoulders, experienced. And there's a lot less management than there is in Formula One in terms of tires, fuel. I'm not sure about the energy recovery system, but they have DRS, for example.
But it's not, DRS is not nearly as big as a wing.
No.
Probably about half, I would say, half the gap width. And their pit stops, the tire changer is also the guy that puts the tire on. There's not 3 guys on one tire. So
Exactly.
There's actually stuff to do.
Yeah, but I mean, it's pretty impressive though. The pit stops are still very quick.
Yeah.
The gap for the Formula One cars, it's about race pace wise, it was around 15, 16 seconds, and qualifying, I think it was roughly around there. I think maybe closer to 20 seconds. So still very fast. That's for sure. But yeah, I'm impressed, and I can't wait to watch the next races as well.
Yeah, me either.
And like we said, it was definitely way more interesting. Whether you're gonna watch a sprint race or the feature race, either or were way more exciting than the Formula One race. So I would definitely check it out. And like we said, Nicholas Latifi, the Canadian, leading the World Championship. And it was kind of it was strange to see a Canadian national anthem on the top step of the podium.
Yeah, that doesn't happen often.
I hung around to just watch it, and I was like, well, this is strange.
So their next race is in Barcelona.
Okay.
That's the next one. Barcelona, then Macau, and then Macau, sorry.
Oh, I was going to say.
Monaco.
Okay, I was like, whoa. You're going way off for this one.
I don't know why it's at Macau. Monaco. They don't come to Canada, unfortunately. And then they go to France, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, Monaco should be a good one as well. But yeah, it's easier for us here in Canada because they have started to broadcast them.
Yeah.
Whereas they didn't before. So quite honestly, I wasn't following it very much. I knew of Latifi because of his reserve driver roles for Force India.
And he's Canadian.
Yeah, exactly.
And I knew about Jack Aiken just because he was supposed to be a very good driver. Which
I feel like I've heard that name quite a lot, actually. Yeah.
And with Schumacher, obviously, as well, it's a lot more interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
So, great racing, and Baku did not disappoint on the F2 side.
And usually Formula One now they do put F2 highlights on the Formula One YouTube channel.
Okay.
So if you miss the race or if you're thinking this down saying, oh, I want to catch F2, see what's going on, I think you can go on their YouTube. I'm not sure if it's up just yet. And they'll have the F2 highlights, which you can kind of catch up on.
And what's great is that the race has full production value, same as F1. So we're talking the replays, driver tracking, timing, everything. So it's essentially everything that's in Formula One, just the junior category. So I think for the drivers, it's great. And getting more exposure here in Canada is also good for us. And I think good for you, too. It's good to invest in how they coin it, the stars of tomorrow.
Yeah, they did a great job marketing this year, too.
Yeah, because we look at the grid today, George Russell, Leclerc, Norris,
Albon.
These are all F2 drivers that most of them were just racing last year.
Yeah.
So for us to kind of follow it all along all season, and then who knows, the driver changes at the end of the year, I think we'll be able to provide you guys with a lot more knowledge and info in terms of the drivers coming up through the field.
I agree.
Fingers crossed for Latifi in an F1 seat next year.
Yeah,
I think we can say a certain son of a legend will be coming in at 1.2. So.
Well, what do you call Ralph? Is Ralph Schumacher a legend?
Yeah, he is in my eyes. he's a Williams legend.
Sorry, the legend of the last name. Let's go with that.
He's a Toyota legend, Tyler.
Yeah, fair enough.
Him and Jarno Trulli. I actually think with Schumacher and Mick Schumacher, he said he didn't want to rush it, and I think that's a good strategy.
Smart, yeah.
And we saw it too.
He needs to win the F2 title to be fully ready, which he won't this year.
No, I don't think so. And again, he's still young.
Yeah.
2 to 3
He'll spend
years.
a couple years in F2.
That Alfa Romeo seat will most likely be there. Even the Ferrari seat.
Yeah.
So I definitely wouldn't rush it if I was Mick, and I don't think that he will.
No, I don't think he will either.
He's got a good team around him. So, yeah.
What was the final point that we missed that you wanted to bring up?
Not a point, but so I guess the day that this will come out will be.
I think it'll be the day after, so the Wednesday.
Isn't it April 30th? Oh, no, it's the 29th
Yeah,
today.
yeah. So May 1st will be 25 years since the death of Ayrton Senna.
Oh, wow.
At Imola in 1994. Yeah, it was kind of surprising. I was like, wow, 25 years.
Yeah, I haven't been born for that long.
It's the year I was born.
94?
Okay.
Yeah. There you go. So it's all kind of before our time, right?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't even around when it happened. So, yeah, I just kind of wanted to take the last couple minutes of the show to sort of look back on the career and sort of all the events happen. And again, it's interesting for us because we weren't around when it happened.
Yeah, like we didn't get the pleasure to watch him race, right? But I mean, we do see all the highlights and kind of stories of the great battles he had, and how fantastic of a driver he was, and you can just see that if you watch classic F1 races. I mean, it's just a pleasure to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was probably maybe one of the only drivers in the history of all racing that was sort of won with his car.
Yeah.
Especially in the McLaren days, the way he was able to push. I'm sure everybody's seen the Monaco onboards.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just ridiculous. We talk about what era of Formula One is tougher to drive in. I would say that era is much tougher.
Oh, for sure. Well, yeah. I mean,
I don't know, speeds weren't as
big, but you didn't have flappy paddle gearboxes. You had legit stick shifts that you did, and you had a clutch and a clutch pedal,
much bigger
no
engines.
anti-stall, and
Yep.
But yeah, bigger engines with less aerodynamics. Yeah, that's and
open
safety.
cars with no halo.
Yeah, safety, obviously, right?
Safety's huge, though. I mean, with all the Hans devices now and restraints
and as tragic as it was, we owe a lot to that accident in him, because Senna, while he was around, was a big proponent of safety, and we do owe a lot to Senna and obviously the tragic event, because it did propel Formula One into
a safe direction.
A safe direction. And obviously between 1994 and 2014, unfortunately, there was only the one death, which was Jules Bianchi. Yeah. But when you look at the biggest incidents that we'd had since then, Alonso and Kubica and Massa's wheel nut that hit him, remarkable that there hasn't been more deaths, thankfully.
Well, you look at IndyCar on the American side, and it's almost like one a year is someone is either getting killed or paralyzed or having a career-ending injury.
Yeah.
Last year we had Robert Wickens. We've had Dan Weldon?
Yeah. Justin Wilson in 2015.
Justin Wilson 2015.
Greg Moore, the Canadian.
Dario Franchitti had his career-ending one.
Yeah.
And this is all within the last 5 years.
6 years, somewhere around there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's been recent. So the amount of serious injuries.
Now these guys are crazy. They're going 220 miles an hour down through an oval with barely any aero. And I shouldn't say not any aero, but it's a very slippy in a straight line. And when they get launched up in the air, they're flying into catch fences that are kind of stopping them and jolting them, so the G-force is just ridiculous. So I actually think IndyCar has a lot to do for safety down the line, trying to get these drivers safer. Maybe it's throwing a restrictor plate on those Indy cars like they do in NASCAR. But back on the F1 safety, it has gone a long way from what we've seen, especially in recent years. Now there's a Halo edition, and obviously there'll be the Halo 2.0, which who knows what that's going to be as well. So
it's actually going to be floating like an actual Halo.
An actual Halo. Wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah.
It's like a bubble,
Drivers could see.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it has been a big step forward, and Senna was going to start. I mean, when we look back at that Imola weekend, obviously he made all the headlines.
Yeah.
But we have to also remember Roland Ratzenberger as well, who died the Saturday in qualifying.
Yeah.
And we also have to remember Rubens Barrichello on the Friday practice nearly died. Had a very serious accident. I think was like 300 kph, ran into the wall. I didn't know much about sort of the circumstances. And obviously I watched the documentaries and I read more into it. And man, you look at that and you say that race should never have been run.
Yeah, I agree.
After the Saturday, and I was reading today that in Italian law, there's a law that actually says that if in a sporting event there's a death, if that death is deemed immediately at that event, so in this instance, if the medical staff, if they deem that Ratzenberger had died instantly at that track and not in hospital, then by law they had to shut it down.
Wow.
They couldn't run it anymore. So I don't know what the circumstances were, whether he died on impact, which most likely was the case. But regardless of the fact that the organizers, the FIA, they should have all stepped in and said, we're not racing anymore. We had one driver die. We almost had one more. I mean, the track was not safe at the time.
No, it wasn't.
And really, when you look at it and the circumstances around what exactly caused Senna's accident, to this day, nobody really knows. I think there's a lot of people trying to cover their ass, especially Williams.
Yeah.
And Williams and Patrick Head were criminally looked into, and there was a trial afterwards that followed. And I didn't even know this, but Patrick Head, who was the chief engineer or the aerodynamicist at the point, they actually wanted to charge him with, I think, culpable homicide, but the statute of limitations expired in Italy because it was only like 6 years or something like that. Because they did find that the steering column failed. They couldn't figure out whether it failed at the point of impact or if it failed, earlier.
Right.
I believe it failed earlier, which led to his accident.
Yeah, if you look at the video, you could see that for sure.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of theories, right? There's the theory of low tire pressures, which led to the car bottoming out, and that's why he lost control of it. There's the theory that he had a puncture on the right rear. Guys like Damon Hill have said that it was just a mistake from Senna, which I don't believe at all.
Yeah.
I mean, he set the third fastest lap just the lap previously, so he wasn't necessarily a driver that was going to make a mistake in that sense. So, yeah, I think that's what's really sad about it, is that the death probably would have been preventable in many ways.
It could have been, but I mean, it's kind of one of those flip-flop scenarios where, I mean, as unfortunate was, as you mentioned, safety really took a huge leap forward after that. And to see how safe the cars are now, I think a lot of the drivers now actually have to say a big thank you to the drivers of the past for the sacrifices they made, whether it was the ultimate price or if it was just, very serious injuries in the past, just to see how much safety has developed in F1. And of course, it's nothing you want to see. We had Jules Bianchi, which was kind of one of those freak scenarios, but right away, that's why we have the virtual safety car now, right?
Yeah.
Again, another safety measure that F1 has put in, that that accident won't happen anymore.
Yep. Yeah, and we saw it this weekend, right?
Yeah.
Just in case, they brought it out, and it was the right decision because we had tractors coming onto the track. So very, very similar scenario. So yeah, that's a good point there. So yeah, for sure. I mean, I think probably with Senna it would have happened either way, because even at that weekend he was already pushing to meet with other drivers at the Monaco Grand Prix, which would have followed, and to try and implement safety. But as soon as the accident happened, I think the Grand Prix Drivers Association started up again, and they made immediate changes towards the safety of the car. So, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, that really propelled F1 into this new era of safety. And maybe had it not happened, it maybe would have happened later down in the road. I mean, we don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, just through my research, obviously I wasn't around at the time, it really did seem like it shouldn't have happened. And I think if you guys seen the documentaries too, like, Senna was very off the entire weekend and emotionally was in a really bad state. So yeah, it was definitely one of the worst weekends in probably all of sports. So pretty crazy that it's 25 years
25
already.
years. I mean, if you guys were around at watching Senna when you were a kid or as an adult and you're watching this, let us know your favorite memories of Senna. Obviously, we don't really have any to share because we weren't able to watch him.
I would have been 4 months old.
So, but if you did, watch him growing up or as an adult, let us know your favorite memories of Ayrton.
Yeah, for sure. My final comment on it is that, he's just remembered, obviously, for what he did off track as well. Not just for the safety, but for his country in Brazil and for his community. And, we saw the pictures from his funeral, just like 3-4 million people that showed up. He was loved all the world around. So, yeah, his impact is remembered as most likely the greatest driver in the history of the sport. And, even though that we weren't around, I think we still pay that respect to what he's done for the sport. So,
for sure.
25 years is a long time, but the sport has come a long way, which is positive. So we'll see where the future goes. But I think that's it for us, right?
Yeah, I think so. Next race is in 2 weeks' time. Barcelona.
Another 1-2 for Mercedes, or
where we see all of our testing happen. I really wish they went back to the Valencia street circuit. for the Spanish Grand Prix, but that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah. No, I'd agree with you with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that street circuit a lot. 2 weeks' time will be Barcelona. We'll do some fantasy updates throughout the week. We'll post that on our Twitter and our Instagram and update the fantasy standings. Pretty safe bet if you got Mercedes in your team.
Yeah.
But there was a couple of points you maybe could have gained from McLaren or Racing Point.
Racing Point, depends who you had.
Exactly. So, it should be a good one. Final thoughts, gentlemen?
I think we're good.
Ferrari needs to step the fuck up.
Yeah.
No, that's probably not my final thought.
That's pretty much our main thought this whole podcast. I think.
Yeah, I think
you summed it up.
Yeah.
Well done.
All right, folks. Well, thanks for joining us for another episode. As always, like and subscribe down below. Get us shared out to the internet so we can start building our audience.
Yeah.
If you got some friends that are trying to get into F2, share this video with them, and we'll learn along the way with you guys as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time in Barcelona. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen.